What is up, guys? JayFerGaming here. Welcome to 10 things that I love about F1 2016, and I really do enjoy this game, and these points are probably the main, well, they are the main ones for making me enjoy this game. And I know a lot of people do have a lot of fun with this game, but obviously there's some dislikes as well, so I'll be throwing out another video showing the flip side of the game, but starting with the positives, of course, and it's not in any particular order. So we'll start off with the first one, and it's going to be career mode R&D. In the whole, I do enjoy it. It's a great addition to career mode because in the past we had the tier system, I think, for a couple of games, and yeah, that made things variable because in recent career modes it's been like Mercedes just win absolutely everything. They never drop off, and if you start lower down you can't improve your car, but at the moment you can take like a manor from the back to the front, rags to riches type of thing, which is a great thing, but a part of that might be included in my dislike video as well, so you'll have to check that one out later on. But overall I think it's very positive. This kind of links with my second point, the practice sessions. So the practice sessions, the track acclimatization, the tyre wear test and qualifying test, which is all good additions because I'd imagine most people did skip practice. I definitely did. I mentioned it in most videos that I don't get much practice because I just couldn't be bothered with it, but this gives you an incentive to actually do the practice sessions, and at first I really did enjoy it. At the moment I'm getting slightly bored of it, but it does get you used to the track for the weekend, so I do still do it, and it gives you the points needed to upgrade parts of the car. So the incentive is still there, but I've kind of gone a little bit off it, but it's a great addition to the career, and it's very important because if you're at the back, how are you going to have an enjoyable career mode? If you're constantly at the back, there needs to be some progression, and it's there, so it can, and it's different in everyone's career mode, so it can provide different results. So the top three could be like Manor, Sauber and Renault in the future, who knows? So that makes things more exciting. So there were 2 points there, so we'll move on to the third, which is manual starts. And I've got to say, even though it's a small feature, it actually could be the best one for me because it just mixes things up at the start. In previous games, all cars that start at the same time just be released when the fifth light goes out, and the AI would always get a better start than you, so you'd guaranteed to lose positions. But this time, if you get a great start, you can blast past and get 4 or 5 positions, and it's very variable as well with the AI. Some cars get slow starts, some get belting starts, and yeah, it makes things very interesting into turn 1, and it makes everything more exciting. So you can if you've got a great start, you can make up a number of positions, and yeah, it just makes it all realistic and more enjoyable. On to the fourth point, and that would be strategy. I've got to say, the rule in real life of using 3 compounds is just mix things up, and it makes it more exciting, more variables. And you saw in Singapore, for example, I think Ricciardo didn't use the super soft at all, and Rosberg went for a 2-stop on, I think it was soft tyres, and it just mixed things up, and it just makes for more exciting racing, which is what everyone wants. And in the game, it's the same once again, just mixing up the strategies, and the AI actually go for different strategies, because I've noticed in past games they'd pretty much do the same strategy nearly every race and every car. Like, for example, all start on the super soft and then do 2 stints on the soft, which isn't that exciting. And the player controlled car would do alternate strategies and usually beat the AI because the AI strategy wasn't the greatest, but they do the same every race. Also, I'm going to tie this into another point, and that would be wet weather racing. So we've got the intermediate and wet tyre compounds, and yeah, the wet weather racing is a lot different this year, and it is definitely a lot more difficult than in past games, but it's also a lot more enjoyable and very rewarding if you conquer the situation. I mean, the transitions in weather pretty good on this game, I've got to say. It's difficult to realise when the crossover point is, so you've got to take gambles and things, but the feel of the car, if you're on the wrong tyre compound, then you can definitely feel it, and it makes it so much more of a challenge. But I think for the driver that keeps it on the track controlled and pretty quick, the weather situation's going to suit them, and if you nail it, then it rewards the kind of cautious thinking driver, which I am, and I've really enjoyed it this year, so that's a brilliant addition. On to the next point would be the manual pit stop. well, entering the pits actually. That's the only part of the pit stop you actually control. And actually for the rest of that, of the pit stop sequence, I will include in my dislike video. So I'm kind of combining like and dislike with some points, so you might hear a few of these points that I've included so far in the like video in the dislike as well, so it does make things interesting. But entering the pits, definitely a big addition. This was in F1 2010 and hasn't been seen since, which is a strange one, I've got to say. But braking for the pit line, and yeah, it's self-explanatory really. You just got to slow down to the speed limit as you go into the pits, and it makes it more realistic. The better drivers on the brakes can make up more time there, and it can affect league races. And yeah, I think it's a big thing. And obviously if you don't get under the speed limit, you get a penalty, so more control for the player controlled car. And yeah, that's what we want really, and we want it for the whole pit stop, which, yeah, I'm not going to go into detail in the like video, but yeah, it's great to see that in this game. Next point would be the formation lap, and when this was announced, I wasn't that excited, and I can see why people would want it in the game. I have a different opinion. I do like that it's in the game, but I'm not the biggest fan of it, so it's a kind of 50-50 thing here. But yeah, the formation lap included warming up the tyres and brakes, making sure the car's prepared for the start of the Grand Prix, and it builds up the tension. That's the part I like, but the way it's been implemented isn't 100% fantastic, because I think you get the computer takes over before the pit entry at most tracks, and yeah, it takes control, and I would definitely prefer us lining up into the grid box. I know people could be stupid online and mess it up, and they should be taken out of the lobby and controlled by the computer, but it's difficult to work. I kind of understand why Codemasters have gone for the system they have for this year, but I think it could do with some improvement. I need to do testing actually to see if the formation lap actually affects anything. I'm not 100% sure, but when you see the temperatures moving up and down, I think it could be affected, but when the computer controls, then I'm not sure if something happens in that transition. But then you get the black screen, which I think totally wrecks the build-up to the race. But at least it's in the game, and to be fair, I've got a bit bored of it recently and been skipping it, so it's a bit of 50-50 between like and dislike. But overall, I am happy it's included, and you get the option to turn it on and off. Next point would be the ultimate AI. The better drivers have been screaming out for this, because when you get to Legend AI, and some drivers would start winning races in the lower cars, like Renault, for example. And yeah, it's not so fun. The AI are a bit hit and miss, I've got to say, and they have been over the years. But the AI, I can't really speak from experience too much, because I've only actually done one race with Ultimate AI, and that was when the game was released, so I wasn't up to speed, and they absolutely blasted past me. I was very slow, and it filled me up with joy, because I knew in the future I'd be turning the difficulty up to Ultimate AI, and hopefully that would be a future challenge. But I have seen videos of people driving against the Ultimate AI, and it does seem pretty competitive, and the AI seem to actually fight back and know what they're doing, which can't be said on a few other difficulty levels. But at least the option is there, so the better drivers can have a challenge, and hopefully it is a challenge for winning in like a Ferrari or Red Bull, for example. So that's something I'll be using in my career in the future, and hopefully I can actually get up to that standard and then stick with the cars. So it's a great addition, but the AI could do with a bit of tweaking, I've got to say. And then the penultimate feature would be the safety car and the virtual safety car. The safety car was taken out for last year's game. I don't know why. That was a crime, I've got to say, from Codemasters, but at least it's back in the game. I think it's very sad that they advertised that as a feature when it's been in previous games and they've just taken it out for 1 year. I'm not sure if game developers do that on purpose, but it seems to happen in quite a few series, which is disappointing. But at least it's in the game this year, and the additional virtual safety car, which is in for the first time. And yeah, they both work very well. Once again, like strategy and the 3 compounds rule, it mixes things up in races. races, so that makes things more enjoyable. You can take advantage of strategies and things like pitting under the safety car and virtual safety car. The virtual safety car doesn't really affect the race too much, unless I think if you pit under the virtual safety car, you can gain some time. I'm not completely 100% with the tactics under the virtual safety car, but at least it's in the game, and in terms of realism, it's great to see. Safety car's the big one because, for example, in 2015, Mercedes would start 1 and 2 and just go off into the distance, and say for example you got a drive-through penalty, for example, it would totally wreck your race and you just couldn't fight back. And yeah, the safety car brings in variables, and yeah, it means you have to race to the end because anything can happen in F1. And with the safety car coming out, say you not a lap down really, say you're a minute behind the car ahead, just keep on going. If the safety car comes out, then you're back in the game and you can use strategy to gain position. So that was essential for this game, and it's great to have back in, especially for league racing. It definitely makes things more exciting. And the final point for this video would be the damage model. Maybe a bit controversial, people might not be happy with me including that, but I've got to say I like the damage model. In the past it's been very forgiving, you could smash into the wall and still be in the race without any damage, but this year it's a lot different. Though it's not completely realistic, I think it's definitely a step up from last year, and there is a little bit of forgiveness. I think people want ultimate simulation damage, but this isn't a simulation game. I'd say it's more arcade than simulation, but Codemasters have tried to include a little bit more simulation, and I think the game would be too difficult if the damage model was even higher than this, and I like it at the moment. I think it's pretty decent, especially with the wheel tethers. If you smash into the wall and your suspension breaks, that looks absolutely fantastic. I love seeing the replays of cars that have crashed out and the wheel tethers come into play, so that's a fantastic addition. And just the damage with the front wing, really, a little touch on a car ahead can give you slight damage, and yeah, it makes it more of a challenge, and I think it's enough. And the option for simulation, and I don't know what the other settings called. Is it arcade? I've never actually used it, so that's why I don't know. But little touches, and it's not that, like in past games, I think it was last year, slight damage to the front wing and you could barely steer the car. You'd get so much understeer. This year, I think it's more realistic. Say if you lose an end plate, then you can still go around the track at a decent speed. Obviously, it does affect the downforce a little bit, but not too much that you have to pit. So the damage model, I think, is a lot better than in past games. But I'd settle for this. I think it's pretty good, and all the things I've said that I love in this video, I think have been done very well, and Codemasters have done a great job on this game. So if you have a different opinion to me, then do put a comment below and I'll reply to you there. But yeah, those were the 10 things that I love most about F1 2016. Brilliant game in my opinion, but there are also some negatives which will be in my next video. So if you have enjoyed this video, do leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in career mode, league racing, etc. And I'll catch you in my next video. Goodbye.